Oh.
But yeah. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Paranormal Misfits Podcast, where the curious roam, the weird feels at home, and horror is just another day in the office. Today on Paranormal Misfits Podcast, we have a very special guest, Jamie Langlands. I hope I'm saying that correctly.
You are, yes. Spot on.
Yes. Yeah, that's what I get for having a Balkan last name. I'm trying, but thank you so much for joining us, Jamie. Before we kick things off, we wanted to mention that Paranormal Misfits Podcast is a part of the You Run Podcast Network, where you can find interesting, cute, pop culture, horror-themed, conspiracy theory, cryptid, weird, cool, kooky podcasts, true crime, just like ours. Be sure to check out You Run on Instagram at You Run Podcast Network. Or just literally just check them out. Do whatever you want. But yeah, I am Nino Daniel, one half of your co-hosts for Paranormal Misfits Podcast.
And I am Chrissy.
Yes.
Yay. Okay.
We're so excited to have you
Yes.
on, Jamie. Thank you so much for making time to be here with us today. And all the way from the south of the UK.
Yeah, I know. A long way from you guys. Yeah.
Yeah. There's three literal different time zones happening right now. What time is it where you're at, if you don't mind us asking?
So right now it's 4:45 p.m.
Okay. It is 9:45 a.m. here in Arizona.
Yeah,
Yeah,
wow. Yeah.
11:45 here.
Big time differences. Well,
Yep.
Thank you so much for joining us. For all of our audience members, Jamie gave us access to his upcoming new feature, The Cellar. And it is definitely the way I know we're not supposed to go into spoilers, and I'm not gonna, but there was one aspect I want to touch on. I appreciated that it was very much into the action versus the speaking parts were there, but it was more so about the action and the emotion.
Mm-hmm.
That I was like, okay, this is creepy.
Yes.
this is creepy and scary and all of that. But we also want to give you a moment, Jamie. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. So I'm mainly an actor from England, but then I started to get more into filmmaking just literally last year, actually. So this is still quite new to me, making films. The Cellar was my first feature film.
Oh, wow.
Directed and produced. So yeah, I've been acting for over 20 years now. And I just gained a lot of friends, and I met a lot of talented people, and I had all the resources I need to sort of jump into actually producing films.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and that's obviously last year I made The Cellar, and yeah, I'm making another film now as well. It's sort of snowballed a little bit, and I'm deep into production on another feature film I'm directing.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
Yeah, it's just going to happen.
Do you give yourself time to take a bathroom break? Do you have a snack when you're able to? That's a busy schedule.
So, well, we actually shot something today. I think I ate 3 custard creams and a packet of crisps, and I had maybe 10-minute break.
Oh God.
So yeah, it's super busy. It's super busy because you want to get. I mean, we was in a pretty cool location, and you want to get everything you can while you have
You're
time.
there.
Mm-hmm.
And you're always up against the clock, so a lot of the time there is no time to have a break or even have anything to eat or even go to the toilet. Sometimes, yeah, literally, yeah.
Couldn't be me. That is definitely an insane schedule. I mean, especially filming today, utilizing your time, being present, going back to what you were saying about having those resources. I mean, amidst the stuff that you've learned with a 20-year career experience, what do you think is your biggest takeaway moving from acting into filmmaking?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I felt it was kind of overdue because, like I say, 20 years kind of being involved in independent films, It was sort of like, I've got to make my own film now. I've been in this game long enough. It sort of like felt like the natural step to take.
Yeah.
And, I want the power to be put in my hands, and I want to be as creative as I can and have as much creative input as I can on a film. Obviously, as an actor, you don't have too much control, but when you're producing and directing a film, then obviously you've got a lot of creative control. A lot of power sort of falls on your shoulders. It's a lot of pressure, but it's good pressure.
Very nice. Yeah.
I want, on the topic of like the pressure and being in creative control, I do want to, we both definitely want to take a moment and shift to the film that we're here to talk about today, The Cellar. I have to ask you, so I'm seeing a lot of like really, really good things come back from like the film festivals. And this is maybe something that I have missed. When is the film like going to be available? Do we have a date?
We don't have a date. It is going to the European film market this month, and it's obviously got screenings lined up at film festivals. So yeah, people can get early access still for this film before it's released. So there's an opportunity for people to get an early screener from Indiegogo. So it is available for anyone who wants to sort of pay a little bit of money for it. Other than that, it's being screened throughout festivals in England and also in America as well.
Love
cool.
that.
So how did you come up with the storyline? Because it's really interesting. It's like a real good deep dive on like different levels of like what she's going through. So like how did you come to be with that?
Well, I wrote a short film, and it was based on a location that I'd worked in before as an actor, and this location stuck with me. And I thought, if I'm ever going to make a film, I've got to use this location because it's so cool. So I wrote with the location in mind. It's like a 10-minute short film I wrote. But then I wanted to kind of see how far I could take it. And one thing just sort of led to another. It's like we shot like a little short concept film, and then at the end of the day, we had like it's like 12, 13 minutes worth of footage just from one day of filming. And I thought,
wow.
I thought, wow, we got a hell of a lot done. And it was a long day, but, we got a hell of a lot done in this one day. So I thought, if I pull my resources and a little bit maybe thrifty with like budget, and I could probably turn this into a feature film. There's enough story there. And then the script just sort of evolved into like a feature script. I just kept writing, bits at a time. I did do it like the conventional way of write a script and then film it. Kind of wrote some scenes, we filmed them, and it was like, okay, let's see where else this goes. Let's see what else I can come up with. Let's see what else I can write, come up with some new ideas, shoot another couple of days, see what we've got, and then it's like, okay, now let's see where the story can go. Okay, so it just kept evolving like that, really. So it's just like film stuff, write some more stuff, and let the film just sort of take its own course and see where it goes, basically.
That's awesome.
That's amazing. It's cool to hear that there is something that stuck with you from a previous filming location, then you kind of like build a short story around that. One of my favorite films now came from a short. What am I trying to say? I'm like getting lost, and I'm like picturing like the Cellar locations in my head, losing my own train of thought. I'm so sorry, but there was a Smile, the horror film Smile. That franchise came from a short film. It was like an 11-minute movie that transformed into all it is now, and it's incredible to see like what you started with and what we got to watch, because it's legitimately like you're watching this movie. And I don't know, Chrissy, I think we were texting as we were watching, and we were like, oh my God. Cool. It was definitely like it captivates you because you're, and I don't want to give too much away, and I have to remind myself of that, but like you're wanting so many things to happen, and then different things happen that you didn't expect.
Yeah.
I want to, if I may also ask, like, when you were coming up with the expansion of this story, like you had mentioned, Jamie, were there any artistic elements that you sort of put into the film that were in any capacity like reflective of your own life or things you've experienced or seen or heard?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, like some of the masks were like obviously Venetian masks. And yeah, I went to Venice like, it was, I don't know, quite a while ago, like maybe 12, 13 years ago. And I remember being in Venice. It's like a really creepy place, Venice. Like there's so many different like alleyways and it's like a labyrinth, and then there's canals. Well, it's so like no other place in the world.
That makes sense for the movie for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And it's so creepy, and every now and again, when you sort of off the sort of like the main kind of high street area, and you're going through these like little alleyways at night, it's proper creepy. And then every now and again, you'd come up across like a little shop that would have all these Venetian masks in the window. And yeah, it was just so creepy. So yeah, it kind of stuck with me, that place.
I speak for the both of us when I say that creepiness very
was
much
there.
translated into the film. It was, I think, I don't know about you, Christy, but I feel like anything with those like period piece masks, I'm like, oh God, it's a little spooky.
Yep. So like we noticed that, you used a lot of action-based versus heavy on dialogue. So was that like an intentional thing? Was it more of like, let's just see how it goes and how it translates? Or was that more of like focusing on like her mental space that she was in as she's trying to navigate to, get through?
Yeah, I mean, obviously she's on her own a lot of the time in this film. So yeah, there's never going to be like a lot of dialogue. Even the short film I wrote, she's basically on her own. Which obviously makes it easier because you don't need to really hire a sound guy as much. It makes it easier, and sound is always the toughest thing to get right when it comes to filmmaking. I mean, it really is. Like you can have like amazing visuals, but yeah, the sound is so difficult to get that really crisp, clear sound. It's so difficult. So obviously not having too much sound is like there wasn't too much of an issue. It kind of took away a lot of the stress of making sure the sound was spot on. But also, of course, it worked with the story because, she was on her own. And it was like, we sort of wanted, I wanted the audience to feel like they were her. It's almost like a computer game as well. Yeah, that's sort of something I had in the back of my mind, where people could feel they were sort of like the character and the main character
playing it.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, she obviously, because of that, she was on her own a lot, and also I wanted to create a lot of atmosphere, a lot of tension, and the silence in films is what really sort of draws you in. Sort of like quite hypnotizing sometimes. So yeah, that's why basically I didn't really use too much sound.
I love it. Mission accomplished with the wanting to create tension, because
good. Cheers.
I was knee deep in some snacks and I was like, nope, I'm not even going to finish these. I want to make sure she gets out. You had those moments where like the camera is so focused in on Abigail, and there was like the things happening in the background. I'm like, the way some of the shots too were set up to where I'm like, is she gonna look behind her? Is she gonna turn around? Like, is there even as like an audience member, I was like, is there something actually going on behind her? Because the camera is so hyper focused in this shot. But like, we know, like, I had so many questions. Like, I would be a terrible accomplice for her in this situation. Like, I would be hyperventilating. On the topic of like the way things were shot, were there any particular scenes or a particular scene that was maybe difficult to film, whether it was a stunt thing, a time thing, like anything that caused like a challenge that you guys had overcome on the set?
I mean, a lot of it was dark, obviously. So things like the focus right was at times can be quite difficult in the low light. So there was like, I mean, takes we did, which was like multiple takes, it was quite simple stuff. But it was mainly just like the movement, you know, tracking, focusing, focus pull in, all those little sort of technical things. So, you know, yeah, I didn't envy the DOP with some of them. Yeah, they were quite tricky with that level of light. I mean, other than that, there wasn't too many issues. I was quite surprised. So I thought there would be a lot more issues than what there were. But yeah, I mean, it was, of course, it's just mainly time. I mean, time's the enemy with filmmaking. You just got to, you know, just try and get as much done as you possibly can with the time you have. I mean, we were lucky in a way because there were some locations that just, you know, let us use the location for like 13, 14 hours, which was, you know, brilliant, you know. So having that amount of time to play with was great. But then there was maybe a couple of other times when we didn't have that luxury. So again, it's sort of like, again, we've got to get this in this time frame. We don't have enough money to come back to this location and do it again. So we've just got to get it. So yeah, I mean, time's always going to be the enemy with filmmaking.
I can imagine. Like, time is the enemy when I'm on my lunch break because I never feel like it's long enough. So...
Yeah, time's always the enemy. Yeah, no matter what, time was always the enemy.
So true. Christy, what you got?
So just moving along with, like, you know, the whole shooting the film and everything. So more into the production part of the film. Like, where was it filmed for the most part?
I mean, it was all filmed around Sussex.
Okay.
Which is a big county in England, all down south. And I guess Sussex spreads around maybe like 50 miles or something like that. Okay. Yeah, it was all shot around Sussex, different locations. A lot of the locations I'd sort of been in before, so I already kind of knew about them. And then other locations I'd go and do a location scout and a recce and stuff, and then just get like more ideas as soon as I'm in the location. And that's obviously where I'd kind of write more stuff based around the sort of location. So I kind of found, luckily, I've lived in Sussex for my life, and I know a lot of good crew members that I can rely on around Sussex. So yeah, it was very much a Sussex-based film, and all the actors were from Sussex as well. So
I love that.
Yeah, it worked well.
I love that, tying in like a whole bunch of like people you know to the place you're familiar with. That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's great. Like,
I mean, logistically,
that's a great opportunity for them.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. I'm always curious. I know I'm big on like timeline of things. So when we talk about like the idea of the Cellar all the way to final editing day, what is that timeline?
I mean, if we're going like really broad.
Yeah, let's go really broad.
I mean, it would probably be the time I went to Venice.
Wow.
Yeah, because obviously I think that really stuck in my mind, you know. And then I didn't like go there and was like, right, I'm going to make a film now. It was sort of like, when I got to the point when I wanted to make a film, then I think subconsciously, with the Venetian masks, with the tunnels and that, that was sort of like in the back of my mind. So yeah, it was probably, that's when the kind of seed kind of started growing. And then after that, I'd say it was like probably like 2 years ago, I thought, you know, this is, you know, my time now to make a film. I've got all the resources around me that I kind of need. And then from when we first started shooting, January the 4th of last year.
24.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the final shoot date would have been in June 2024.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, there's a long time. But it wasn't like consecutive days or blocks of filming. we'd shoot like, overall, it was 9 days filming. So 9 days over that time frame.
Over that
Okay.
couple months.
Yeah, and it was a case of basically waiting for budget to sort of come in. When the budget was coming in, that's when we could shoot some more stuff. It was a case of just sort of waiting until more money came in. And then it was, in terms of the edit was done and complete by September, I'd say, of 2024. Okay. And then the first screening was on the 8th of September.
Wow.
That's a quick turnaround.
Yeah.
Very.
Wow.
So it didn't take as long as I thought it would. I think we just sort of like, once everyone was on board, we just wanted to get on with it. It was just a case of waiting for the budget to come in, basically.
Yeah.
And then we'd edit as we go. The editor would sort of like edit as, the scenes came into him, and he'd edit them. It was that sort of process, basically, editing as you go. And then the first screening 8th of September. So, yeah.
That's amazing. That's incredible. I think that's also that speaks to the very just like effective filmmaking, having everything kind of like you mentioned, like as you go. I don't know much about editing because I mostly just edit like TikTok videos. I don't do this high level stuff, sir. But that's incredible to be so like intentional with everything. Not to say that, no one was, but it's just, that's great to hear that it can be done in that capacity. That's awesome. Excellent work.
Yeah. In a way, I would have loved to have done it like, in a block.
Yeah.
But then the amount of time we were shooting on certain days was like, 14, 15 hours. So to then go and do another day shoot would have been like
the next day to do another 15-hour day.
Oh, yeah.
That's a lot.
Exactly. So I think, everyone was sort of fresh when they came in to do the new shoot day. They weren't tired. They're probably tired by the end of the day, but they were coming in fresh to it, which I thought was good.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that.
No worries.
So
let's see what you got.
There's a little bit of a mixture, right? You had a little bit of practical effects, and then you also had a mixture of like the special effects. There was a great blend of it. I know Nino he really liked the mirror portion with Abigail.
Oh yeah.
In the movie.
Where she like, sorry to interrupt, but this was like, this is where I freaked out, because this is a fear of mine, is when like she looked into the mirror and it's like, cool, I'm looking at my reflection. She turns away from the mirror, but her reflection is still looking at her. And I was like, I'm like, this man tapped into something that I have been afraid of, and I thought I locked away, but like, thanks so much for bringing that out.
Yeah, it's super creepy, that stuff.
Oh my gosh. Wait, sorry, go ahead with your question, Chrissy. I had to get that out. That part like scared me.
So like when you have those types of shots, like, can you kind of walk us through what it looks like to set up those shots and what's needed from like both the actors and then also from the editors as well?
Yeah, it's basically doing every shot twice.
Oh wow.
Yeah. You do the shot of the character looking in the mirror, and then you do the shot of the reflection. And then you kind of, it's done in the edit, you split the screen. So, it works as long as there's no crossover. As long as the reflection and the actual actor don't cross, then that's how you do it, basically. And you just split the screen. And then, it's done in the editing room, basically.
I do have one question, and this is more of like almost like the opening scene of the opening scene of the movie. When Abigail's in the cell, whose idea was it to use the underwire and everything of the bra to break her out? Like, I was sitting there, I was like, I have never seen this before.
I'm going to start wearing bras just because of this.
Well, I was thinking, like, I want to shoot. This is when I was thinking about doing a short film. I was like, I want to do this scene where she's in a cell. Okay. And again, she has to break out of the cell. And then I was thinking, like, how could someone break out the cell?
Yes.
And I was thinking, right, she's got to use everything that she has on her or around her. But then obviously, she's got no phone or anything like that, or keys. They've taken everything from her that they think she could use to break out the cell. So that leaves me with what does she have? She has like on her, what she could use maybe. Okay, so shoelaces. She could do something with that. She could do something with like the hair clip. And it was again thinking like what she would have on her, and then she'd have like bra, and then in a bra there's a wire. So it's like you could use the wire. So yeah, it was just sort of like thinking of what she could possibly use that she'd have on her to escape this cell basically.
That was genius. I'm just like, I was thoroughly impressed. Like, oh my God, I've never thought of that.
Yeah. Oh, if you're ever locked up now, then
if I'm ever locked up, I know what to use.
Yeah.
Come get me after you escape, Chrissy. Like, I'm like,
I mean,
come break me out, because as men, I don't know if I have anything with like wire immediately. If there was a day to have braces, then maybe that would be the day to be locked up in a cellar. If there was a day to have braces, that would be the one. We are going to take a quick break for our You Run Podcast Network announcements and be right back. See you guys in just a couple of minutes.
Yay.
What's up, cool kids? This is Tasha here with my trusty sidekick, Journey the Horror Dog, who will inevitably whine in the background of every single episode of our new podcast, The Ghoulish Gallery. I'm just here to give you an idea what's coming up. Each week, I'm going to have a guest on to give us the scoop on their local lore, urban legends, cryptids or monsters, creepy places, all that good stuff that we love. Fortunately for all of us, there are a whole lot of badass horror people out there willing to educate us on the spooks and other things lurking in the dark in their neck of the woods. If you're interested in being a guest, hit me up on Twitter at TMR_8706 or Ghoulish Gal Pod. It's going to be Ghoulish, GALPOD. I'll be happy to put you on the list. Hit me up.
Now, just as a reminder, this is part of the You Run Podcast Network, where you can find other awesome and amazing podcasts just like this. And also, Ghoulish Gallery is currently on a season break and will return within due time. Make sure you check out her other episodes on Spotify, Apple, and all other sorts of streaming platforms.
But and wouldn't you know it, for you guys, this break was a couple of minutes. For us, it was less than 10 seconds.
That's right.
Crazy.
Crazy.
Keeping in alignment with all the things that happened in The Cellar. And again, to everyone listening, The Cellar is an upcoming film directed by our guest, Jamie Langlands. I'm really trying to make sure I pronounce the G, because sometimes in America, when we have names like that, we don't always pronounce every letter. I mean, I know you taught us about the English language and we just kind of remixed it. So I'm really sorry that this is the representation. But I want to, I was really keen on some of the themes in The Cellar. And tell me, like, I don't think this would be too much of giving things away, but there is a bit of a religious element.
Yeah.
And the film being titled The Cellar, wine usually kept in a cellar. And then there was these AA meetings that happened like what looks like in a church. So are there any conversations that are maybe happening in this sphere or in this like thematical sense where people may use their faith to mask their vices?
I mean, it's a good way of thinking it. I mean, the thing with this film as well, because it's quite ambiguous. You know, nothing's just sort of like laid out in front of you, and then you know, like this is what's happening. There's a lot of kind of quite layered, so people are going to get a lot of different things from this film, and even think there's certain meanings behind certain things. And there is a lot of that sort of going on. But I think, because I wanted to sort of mix a bit of religion and science, which are two things that don't really go together. So I kind of had that in the back of my mind, like, you know, religion. I mean, there's so many religious horror films that they're usually the creepiest. Like religion and things like that. So yeah, I wanted to make it religious, and I wanted to add like a scientific element in it. But yeah, what I love about this film is when people talk to me about it, they have their own ideas. You know, they have their own train of thought on what they kind of think's going on. And there's so many different theories, and I love the fact that people think there's some come up with different ideas and almost their own story. Because I love that about films. When I don't fully understand what's going on, it's sort of like when the film ends, you're still thinking about it for maybe weeks, months down the line, and you're thinking like, oh, what really did happen there? You know, you're still kind of wondering. Films that I like to be left that way, not fully understanding. And I still want to be thinking and trying to work things out, like long after I've seen the film. I mean, most of the time I just go on Google and it was dead about
Same.
it.
Honestly, the three of us just using Google.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, no, I love films like that. There was a film, can't remember what it's called. It had Jack Nicholson in it. It was like a crime thriller. And his character's sort of he's like a detective, and he's going crazy trying to work out this case. And yeah, by the end of it, he kind of loses his mind a little bit. And it kind of, as the audience, you kind of feel in a similar way, because you don't really know who the killer is in this film, just like he doesn't know who the killer is in this film. And this is what stuck with me. And, you know, I had to sort of like Google it to work out who this killer was in this film. And the killer is in this film for like a split second. The whole film's around this killer, and he's in it for like a split second, literally. Just as a pan, and you know, the shot's not even on him. It's just a pan shot and he's just sort of like there for a split second, and he's gone. Yeah, but yeah, films that sort of keep me guessing right until the film's long gone are kind of films that I sort of enjoy. So that's what I wanted to do. I wanted people to not fully understand what's going on and be a bit like confused and a bit like, you know, messes with their head a little bit, you know. Yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to try to achieve.
That was very accomplished.
Yes.
Yeah, good.
I mean,
good.
I kind of took it as like Dante's Inferno, because it almost like, because when she went through certain layers or certain rooms, there was a different color, like a color of the room, and I was like, this almost seems like a different purgatory for her as she's going through. And then she's like she's remembering the conversations that are happening in those meetings, and then she's having flashbacks to like family and stuff like that. Like I took it as like she's going through her own purgatory to like kind of meet everything head on.
Yeah, it's a bit like that from a metaphorical point of view. Absolutely.
I love that. I know one of the things Chrissy and I also talked about was this theme of escapism.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Not even just in a literal sense when you're in a cell or like trapped in a cellar, but given the aspect of like the meetings where people go and communicate with each other about how they use drugs and alcohol as an escape from reality. But on the other end of that dichotomous spectrum, you've got a lead character who is using her sobriety to escape her entrapment.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I was like, and I loved how it was well blended. Like, to Chrissy's point too, like every time Abigail came across like another person, we would get that flash to, you know, what they were saying and all of these things. And I'm very like, well, like, how did they get there? Like, what happened? Like,
Yeah. Exactly.
there's
Yeah.
so much, it was so much like left open to the imagination in like
Yeah.
the best way, while also me being worried, like, is someone coming behind her? Like, can the camera pan behind her 1 second just so I could see?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was
No, yeah. I
beautiful.
wanted to mess with people's heads a little bit. A lot of people, a lot of people don't like that. A lot of people want everything sort of laid out in front of them.
Mhm.
And they want to know like, exactly, they want an outcome. People want an outcome. But yeah, I mean, in that sense, obviously some people might be a little bit too frustrated that there isn't, where things aren't just sort of laid out in front of them, But yeah, I mean, obviously everyone's got different tastes and, things like that. But yeah, I think some people are going to like that element that they're sort of left hanging a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. The without giving too much away, the part that was like not I was like frustrated for her was when she got a hold of a phone.
Oh my
Yeah.
God,
Oh yeah.
yes.
And that's all I'll say. And I was like, how? Like, is it like, what is happening? Like, poor girl. I'm like, she's got full bars. Like, what is happening? Like, that was the one part where I'm like, are they joking with her? I think I like paused the movie and I asked my husband, I'm like, they're shitting her, right? Like, they're just,
They're just
like,
pranking her.
it's a joke, right? Like, they can hear her. Like, poor thing has had like contact with like technology for the first time in Lord knows how long. And it's like, oh, well,
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I love that. It was you very much accomplished that, like that sense of like, there's still, obviously the answers were given, but there was so much that was left to interpretation and imagination.
Yeah.
Apart from like the mirror thing, the other part where I kind of got like spooked was all the things, and this is just like maybe a precursor for our audience, but like the things that happen with the eyes. Like, you've got like people with different colors
Mm-hmm.
and different shapes. I was not expecting those things because it's so subtle. It's like such a subtle little like way to kind of like just instill like a little bit of fear, whether you're fearing for Abigail or yourself, if you're scared watching the movie at 9:00 at night with like nothing around you and your cat's in the background making noises and you think someone's invading your home. If anyone agrees, raise your hand. But those parts were a little, excellent work with all of it.
I wanted to do stuff with the eyes because obviously the eyes, they say it's the window to the soul.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously the film, in essence, is about your soul. There's sort of a bit of a rebirth and people taking your soul. That whole religious element. So yeah, I wanted to. I knew I wanted to do something with the eyes. I knew I wanted, candles in it. I know, and I wanted it to be. Also, I wanted a church. I wanted it to have that sort of element of addiction. Mental health. I wanted to sort of blend all these sort of things together and just sort of kind of, see what I could create really. So I had like an idea in my head of just certain things.
Very cool.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Chrissy, what you got?
Okay, so back to Nino and the escapism, like her using her sobriety to escape her entrapment. Was there like an intentional connection there, or was this more of like the basic human need to survive?
Yeah, I think it was more the need to survive. I mean, the original, the very first like tagline was, I think it was one girl's fight for survival. That was like the initial tagline I first kind of thought of. So yeah, that fight to survive, that human instinct to survive, was very much like, in my mind, with certain like metaphors sort of along the way, basically.
Okay. Yeah.
I noticed I kind of wanted to, as we kind of head into like the wrap up for today, I wanted to kind of turn it back and give you an opportunity to also like speak to a little bit more of your expertise and your career as well. When we were both doing our research, I mean, like we said in the beginning, you've had a very busy 2024.
Oh yeah.
Like a very busy, and it's a great thing to see that there is work to be made, work to be had. I wanted to ask, like, what type of toll does that take on you and your body and your mind when you have to shift from either a production role or a character? Like, how does that affect you, if at all?
I mean, I never sleep before a shoot day, and I very rarely sleep the night of the shoot, but after the shoot. So usually I have 2 nights of no sleep, usually. Not all the time, or very, very little sleep, This is why I don't like doing like long blocks of filming, because I'd have like a week or so of just like very little sleep, because it's just all like after the shoot, it's sort of like you've got loads of stuff going on. You've still got some adrenaline there from the shoot and everything. And you've also got the concern about if I've missed anything, if I've forgotten anything, until you actually see edit. Only then can you really stop worrying so much about things that might not cut together very well, or things that you might have forgotten about or missed. So yeah, it's sort of like this. It does take its toll. Because and again, you've got a lot of pressure on you because there's a lot of people that you're trying to please. You want it to be good for all the crew, for all the actors. You want them to be proud of the film as well. And you don't want to sort of let them down. It does take its toll. It can take its toll, like mentally. I kind of wonder what, filmmakers that have made about 40, 50 films. I always wonder what their mind's like, because it must be all over the place. I guess like, things like meditation and stuff like that help, I think, if you kind of know how to manage your mind a little bit. I usually just sort of like go for a run or do something physical, and that sort of takes my mind off things,
Oh yeah.
It can take its toll after a while, because as well, if there's, indie films, you're wearing so many hats as well, you're doing so many things that on like a big blockbuster film, you could well end up doing like 30, 40 jobs that one person would do on like a blockbuster
Oh my
film.
God.
Yeah, I know.
That's a lot of
Yeah, I know, it's crazy. You're trying to explain it to someone that's sort of like not in the film, like nowhere near the film world, who's doing a completely different career. They never understand it. They never fully understand it. They think, oh, you're just having fun, make film. They're not seeing all the stuff that goes on, like behind the scenes, and all the lead up to the shoot, the preparing, all the planning, the shooting schedules, the call sheets, the contracts, the shot lists, the storyboards, props you have to get, the costumes, food.
Can't forget the crafty table.
No, I know, exactly. Yeah, all the stuff you have to come up with, like, kit list. Yeah, there's so much preparing that goes on. It's crazy. It's like a full-time job, just like when you're not filming something, preparing for the shoot, it's like a full-time job.
Sounds like it. Oh my gosh.
Oh, yeah. I do have one question going back to the film. So for The Cellar, was everything shot in chronological order, or did you do some scenes out of
order
as opposed to the other?
Yeah, it wasn't chronological. A lot of the stuff was out of sync. I mean, it's mainly based on when we could get into the locations, really. And then we were in that location. We shot everything we had to do in that location. And then, there's more locations in the film than you'd actually think as well. But I told someone how many locations we used for this film, and they were like, "What? Really?
how many?
How the hell did you do that?" Because, there's a lot of locations we used. Some people would think, it's just 2 locations for like the main parts of the film. But it was more locations than what you actually would think by watching it.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Wait, if can I ask, like, is there a number to how many locations?
So, I mean, if you include everything, then let me think, like 8 different.
Wow.
Yeah.
That did not seem like 8 locations. I mean, there's
No.
it seemed like at tops maybe 4.
Tops 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is
I mean,
insane.
it was, we just found things that would like match because, in that house, there we used rooms, or one room specifically that wasn't attached to that house. It was like a completely different location. Yeah, same with the cellar as well. Same with the cellar, stuff down the cellar. It wasn't just all one big location.
Yeah.
It was like multiple locations.
What couldn't even begin to tell you that. Like, I was like,
Yeah.
this is seamless.
Yeah. I was like, man, this is a big
I
location.
was like,
Yeah.
I kept thinking, I was like, why does she keep going down? Like, how many levels? Like, hold on. How many steps y'all got?
I know, exactly. Yeah. And the actress was on crutches as well. Yeah, she'd like dislocated her hip.
Oh my
God.
God.
Yeah, so she had to go walk a lot of stairs in this film.
Yeah.
Yeah, she'd come in on crutches, which obviously we can't have the crutches in the shots. So she'd just put the crutches down, and then we'd do takes. And then at the end of the day, she'd pick up her crutches, and off she'd go. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
There was times when she was, I shouldn't laugh. She was in pain for some of that shoot.
Oh, man.
Oh my gosh.
Hats off to her for being able to do that. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
Raw off to her for being
Oh,
able
yeah.
to do that. Like that.
I mean, I sprained an ankle and I was like, no, I'm down for the count, y'all. Like, we're not doing this.
I get a paper cut and I'm calling into work. I'm like, not me. Can't make it today.
I know. I mean, I worked on another film with her where she dislocated her shoulder. And she was like, no, let's not stop. Let's just carry on. And we were like, no, you've got to go to hospital.
Yes.
Anyway, we took her to hospital at the end, but she was like disappointed. She just wanted to carry on. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Proper tough. Yeah,
It's a
proper
tough
tough.
cookie. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, she is.
Oh my gosh. Not to sharp right turn it, because I want to bring the conversation and kind of like the closure piece back to you, Jamie, and your work as just an actor, director, artist in general. When we were doing our research, and when you think about like your longevity and all this, from romance pieces starring alongside Imogen Poots and Brett Goldstein and all of you, to tackling arachnophobia in Spiders on a Plane, to the sci-fi apocalypse that is, in Sunfall, mind you, all in the same year. Like, what do you look for in a script or a character that makes you, as whether an actor, director, producer, that makes you go like, okay, this is it. Like this is the one, this is the thing, this. What does that look like?
I kind of prefer to look at the visuals and how something would visually look rather than a script. I mean, like the film I'm making now, the writer reached out to me with his screenplay. What got me interested is just the book cover.
Really?
Yeah, just the cover alone of the book. and just how it looked visually. And then you kind of start thinking about, the whole production design and everything, and how, it's like a picture says 1,000 words. So you just sort of start wondering, and it's just sort of inspires you to come up with ideas just based on one image,
Very cool.
Yeah, like the script is the last thing I kind of look at, really. Yeah, I mean, as well, when as an actor, you get someone sends you a script or whatever, it's like, I'm thinking, I don't want to read this script yet. Especially if it's like a feature film script, because it's really long, obviously.
Sure.
I mean, I'd rather see, firstly, what the director or production team's done in the past, or I'd want to see maybe even a storyboard would be something that I'd be more interested in seeing, and just more about the whole production design and how it's going to look visually, really, whether it be as an actor or a director.
Sure.
I think that's
incredible.
more important, certainly from the first instance of, when someone shows you something.
Okay.
Oh yeah. I mean, that definitely makes sense, because as an audience, that's how you're receiving this piece of artwork, is visually, like first and foremost visually. So that me going into everything with that, like that's my new takeaway now, is like, look at how things are going to impact like the visual aspect. That's awesome. That's a great way to think about it.
Yeah, because like so much, you can have a script, but again, it all depends on how it's shot and lighting and everything like that tells the story. There's so much that tells the story. It's not just purely what's written on the pages. And as well, scripts are changed on the day so much as well. So much changes. So yeah, I'm more a visual person. I'd like to see, like, comic book, a storyboard. I'd like to see how. Yeah, that would interest me more.
That's awesome.
Love that.
Yeah.
Chrissy, what you got?
All right. So to kind of wrap up, what would you like to tell our audience, whether it's an upcoming project, where to find you, things you're excited for in this coming year? So just, share what you would like.
Well, like I said, the RIP Man is currently in production. We've got four more shoot days left.
Oh, very cool.
To film on this film, yeah. So that should be wrapped in a couple of months, hopefully. And then that'd be this whole new exciting journey of getting this film out there, getting screens, festivals. It's a bigger production than Cellar. It's got a bigger budget, there's more cast, there's more crew, there's more locations, and there's certainly more dialogue. Yeah. So yeah, it's just again growing and making something more ambitious. And this film scared the hell out of me when I saw I read the script. Not on the sense that, oh my God, this is a scary story sort of thing. But it's like, oh my God, how the hell are we going to make this film? There's so much to it, so much going on here. So they say, if something scares you, you've got to do it, right?
Yes.
I kind of had to do it just to see if I could do it. And yeah, there's 4 more shoot days left, so hopefully they go to plan. I mean, so far so good.
Yeah.
But I don't want to jinx it. Still 4 more days left.
That's amazing.
That's awesome.
We saw like on the IMDb that was coming up, and I was like, oh, I'm excited to see how I love it. It sounds amazing.
Yeah, I mean, there's still an Indiegogo live for it, so people can still get involved if they want and donate and be involved in the film in some way. Then there's still that option. Because we've got obviously a load of different perks on the Indiegogo. It's like be a producer on the film, or your face can be in the film on a photo, or have a voice on the film, thank you credits, props on the film, all this kind of stuff. So that's still live. And I mean, people can just sort of find me anyway. You sort of Google me, and you know, there's no escaping these days. We're all over the internet.
I know we're all.
That is so true. There's no
yeah.
escaping from
We've
the
got,
internet.
listen, Abigail may have gotten out of the cellar. We're not going to get out of the internet. Like,
No, we're not. Yeah, we could have we pretty much are controlled by the internet now. So
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
truth.
that's
Thank
a whole
you.
new film.
Hey, if you need two dumb-witted people to be in this movie, let us know. We do ditzy very well, and we're not even acting. That's crazy. Oh my God. Thank you for
Yes.
taking time from another country on a different continent to do this interview. Like, this is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously,
No,
Jamie, thank you so
thank
much.
you guys. Thank you guys. It's always nice talking to people that are into film and, you know, have their own sort of creative energy and their own creative stuff going on, you know. It's always nice because just through, like, everyday life, if you're not on a film set, then it's hard to sort of meet other kind of creative people that have their own sort of creative vibe and energy going on.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you so much for
Thank
doing
you.
this with us. Ladies and gents in our audience, that is Jamie Langlands, director of the upcoming film, The Cellar. We will keep you posted on all of the information as it becomes available to us. And Jamie, I'll just ask if you have information on an Indiegogo. Maybe you can send that to Chrissy so we can plug it into our show notes. So that way,
Oh, yeah, of course.
members of our audience who would like to become a part of RIP Man or maybe any other things that they can support, we'd love to get them clued in with that as well.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I mean, the good thing with the Cellar as well, people obviously, you know, back to Cellar, so obviously it got made. You know, these are people that obviously, when it comes to festivals in, you know, America and, you know, around the world, we got a lot of backers from America.
That's
You know,
awesome.
when obviously I couldn't go to these festivals, I'd give them the tickets, the free tickets that I would have, you know, I'd get for making a film. And they'd sort of go in my place, which is
Very
quite
nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so cool.
We're like, oh, wow. Yeah, we're like, we love doing this and we love having opportunities to speak to creatives and artists like yourself in this capacity. So really, truly, thank you so much for shedding light on your creative style, the creative process. I mean, things we don't even get to think about as audience members, or even what it means to be on a production set and have those like long days and everything. So thank you. Thank you for taking time out of your day after
thank you,
already
guys.
filming. Like,
No problem. Yeah, it never stops. It never stops.
no.
But you guys are great.
Thank you so much. Well, we are gonna wrap this up, and then Jamie, we're just gonna, once we like stop recording, we'll just like hang out with you for like a second.
Yeah.
But thank you to everyone for joining in on this episode of Paranormal Misfits Podcast. Be sure to look at the show notes, purchase the merch. Be sure to subscribe, follow, give us 5 stars. That's all free. It helps us out in so many ways. And be sure to check out Jamie and his work.
Yes.
Look into him. He's got an incredible track record of a career. And Chrissy, any last minute shout outs before we wrap up today?
Not that I can think of. Although Megan Adar,
Yes.
fantastic. I mean, she's a
Megan.
great actress. Badass considering the fact that she filmed a good portion of this stuff in pain and
We didn't
Couldn't
know
even
it.
tell.
We couldn't tell.
at all. So great job. Loved it.
Fantastic. Awesome. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today. We know you don't want to leave, but since you have to go, you might as well creep out. Bye.
Bye.